Hello, everybody. Sorry about all the technical difficulties we're experiencing. We're just trying to produce the best possible show we can and double checking right now to make sure everything's turning up on Facebook. It's looking like we are streaming to the, the overly critical page.
Nice.
Sometimes this stuff is just a little tough, folks. Thanks for bearing with us. I'm just scrolling around to make sure that it is actually playing. And then we'll get started. I swear. I swear to it, we shall. I'm Wolfie, and here with my cohort. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Matty.
All right. That's Mr. Matty Fitz. Just give me one more second. It looks like. What's going on here? Okay, cool. It's working. Okay, looks like it's working. Had to double check the Facebook. Thank you for joining us. We got one person so far. No big deal. That's awesome. Welcome. Maddie and I are just still getting used to some of this live streaming jazz, and it's looking like not too bad. That was a little bit of a
Yeah.
delay, but anyway, onwards and upwards. How you doing, Maddie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Spent the day working on the episode, getting ready, and so, without further ado, we'll jump into some movie news.
Yeah.
And the thing that's been buzzing today and a little bit last night, yesterday maybe, is that Tom Cruise rips MI7 crew a new orifice over COVID protocols. Did you hear about this at all, Maddie?
I saw it, and yeah.
I had a little treat prepared for us. I wanted us to go ahead and listen to it while
Oh,
we're.
I haven't listened to it. I just read the article, and I was like, it doesn't surprise me. Moving on with my day.
It is choice. Let me go ahead and get the share screen going. Still figuring out how to do my internet. All right, here we go. You see that okay, Maddie?
Oh, I see it. I like that someone caught it on tape
audio.
or recorded it.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every studio at night. Insurance companies. Producers. And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs.
Sorry,
I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. Don't you ever do it again. That's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. The future of this industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting this movie down. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're gone. And so are you. So you're going to cost him his job. And I see it on the set, you're gone. And you're gone. That's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Do you understand the responsibility that you have? Because I will deal with your reason. And if you can't be reasonable, and I can't deal with your logic, you're fired. That's it. That is it. I trust you guys to be here. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Explosive. What do we think of that? What do you think of that, Maddie?
I mean, maybe he shouldn't have gotten so mad, but I get that he's probably under a lot of pressure from studios and producers, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of truth to it. Should he have handled it that way? No. I mean, being a manager at where I work, I would never just present my crew like that if someone got COVID and we had to close down.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I was sorry to cut you off, but
yeah,
obviously
no,
I agree with like his stance and stuff, and probably
yeah,
like having to shut down a production that size is a massive deal. I bet the guys when they had to shut down the Batman was a pretty rough decision to make, and yeah, it's probably a bit of an overreaction, but then at the same time, he's talking about the pressure he's under, and yeah, the industry at this level is really struggling. So
yeah.
man, it's I wonder what he said before somebody hit record on the phone. When he was
Yeah, dude.
much more livid.
Is someone on the walkie like, Tom Cruise is going to talk to everyone in a few minutes, and someone's like, oh shit, I'm going to record this. Like, I don't know. I mean, I hate that it's like out there now, because now everyone's be like, Tom Cruise is an asshole. Maybe he really is. But I don't know. I like those Mission Impossible movies, so
Right. Yeah.
I mean, my thing is too with COVID and movies being pushed back. Like, I'll wait. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
I mean, I understand that people need jobs and all that, but I have plenty of movies throughout the ages to keep me busy and rewatch and stuff to discover that I've never seen.
Right.
To get through all of this so that we can get back in theaters, we can have those like Friday nights or, the Tuesday, your days off to go see a couple of flicks, pull a double feature in the theater. Like, I can't wait for those days to get back, but I'm in no hurry. I mean, the movie we're about to review seemed a little, yeah, that's why I didn't see Tenet in the theater. I was like, I don't feel like it's safe. And in Seattle, none of our theaters have opened at all.
Right.
So there's no way for me to see it, even if I wanted to. I mean, I could have driven out of state or into a different county or something, but I'm like, love you, Chris Nolan, but I'm not doing that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's, what was I going to say? It's like a huge deal still for a lot of, I mean, it's a huge deal for the people at the top that are working and struggling to try and keep these movies going, knowing that people aren't going to show up in the theaters. And that's got to be tough. It seems like it's kind of a renaissance for smaller films right now and streaming services and things like that. I didn't mean to laugh so much. I just live for that kind of chaos, so it tickles me pink,
Yeah.
But I agree with him, and I think he's got a good point. And apparently the entire incident happened because two of the crew members weren't following socially distancing. They were a little too close, staring at a computer monitor, and he caught it, and then went from there. So.
Yeah, I'm sure all this stuff is like super strict, and they probably had to quarantine for 2 weeks before they could even start shooting. I'm sure the cost of like putting up a whole crew in a hotel to quarantine them just for 2 weeks, not even shooting anything, just to make sure everyone's safe and like two guys aren't following this protocol. And I get it. I mean, I work in retail basically, so I'm around people all the time because we're open. And I don't know how, I mean, those two guys probably thought they were like super safe because we've quarantined and stuff, but I don't know. I mean,
not when Tom's on the case.
I mean, the amount of money that goes into making these films, and like, if you have to shut down, I mean, I don't know how expensive that is. I'm assuming it's extravagant, and I'll never see that kind of money, but I get it. I'm not mad at Tom. I'll still see your movie, Tom. Don't worry. I like Mission Impossible.
For sure. Absolutely. So looking forward to that for sure. I hate to be one of the people to sensationalize it or put it on blast, but it was buzzing, and it's a big deal, and I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan, I'll admit, but I side with the guy here, and it would just be awful to be going to your job week after week and then have to like shut it down. And your career's on the line, and especially him having to deal with the higher ups in Hollywood and trying to deliver on a product that they've dumped so much money into. So
Yeah.
that was
I mean, I do think Tom should apologize, though.
Yeah.
Just saying. He said no apologies, but I think, something nice for the cast and crew. I'm sure he's going to do something nice once the movie's wrapped.
Yeah. There's some good memes already coming out of people like reacting to the audio and stuff. Like he's like pretending to be a sound guy, and he's like, I was just taking my mask down to try and get a donut, and I didn't think it would be it. He's like, listen, motherfucker. So that was rough. Anyway, that kicks off our episode. Thanks again to those who are joining us. We had a little technical difficulties right at the top there. But moving on to our next item, Pedro Pascal addresses behind-the-scenes drama rumors. So some of us have heard and read maybe that Pedro Pascal was maybe a little difficult behind the scenes, or that he left the show at a certain point because he wanted more face time. He didn't want to wear the mask as much. However, in an interview with British talk show The One Show, he said this: "That is not true, actually. It's really a wonderful way of telling the story. It's always been a very clear creed for the character, and the collaborative process of the whole thing has been, we've all been on the same page with this, I think. So what I want is for them to make the best show possible, however they get that done." So
dang, sounds like Disney threw him some more money and he had to go apologize in an interview.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm sure there was maybe, not that I'm sure, but potentially there was possibly some backlash from Pedro Pascal. I haven't heard much about him from other movies or behind the scenes or other movies, but I remember catching wind of some of this stuff and wondering what it was going to be like, and wondering if that puts the show in jeopardy in any way. So hopefully not, but it's nice to see him personally address that. And I know he's been outspoken about the show and how much he loves being a part of the show. And perhaps after Disney threw him a little bit of ducats or something, he also came to Gina Carano's side to support her amidst her controversies with kind of her right-wing tweets and things. I like Cara Dune, and it can be tough to separate the artist from the art sometimes, but you pick and choose your battles, I guess. And here at Pedro Pascal, I just hope things are ultimately more or less being smoothed over and everybody's getting what they want, so the show continues on, and we don't see anybody sidelined for outside reasons. It would be, especially, we know Disney is pretty sensitive to that kind of thing. They pushed back Johnny Depp's return to Pirates of the Caribbean and everything with all the controversy he was having. So, this day and age, it can be tough, but we all pray and hope for the Mandalorian to continue on. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I had a conversation with some coworkers. They're like, well, why doesn't he just wear the helmet and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I get it. You're an actor. And people don't know who you are, and they're like, well, he's Mando. I was like, yeah, but everyday people don't know who Pedro Pascal is, okay? He's not been in that much stuff. It's like, we know because we're huge movie fans, and we enjoy good actors. And, I watched Prospect. I've watched most of the stuff I can see him in. I watched Narcos just because he was in it, because I think he's a great actor. Right. But most people don't do the things that I do. So I'm sure if you're in a Disney show and you want people to know your face, to be recognizable, to be in bigger films, make more money at the craft you like to do, you got to show your face, or you're just going to be known as the guy in the silver helmet. Who? Because no one, everyday people who are watching Mandalorian they just want to see Mando. They don't care about Pedro Pascal, because they're not normal they're not nerds, basically. They don't see a good performance. I'm like, oh, I'm going to follow this actor's career. Love my dad, but he's just like, what's this guy in? He's like, oh, that's the guy from that movie, or that guy's Mando. It's like, he's not tracking this guy's career like I would, because I think he's a great actor. Right. And I love seeing him in the Mando outfit. And, the more you watch it, you can kind of tell who's a stunt actor, and when he has his little swagger in the Mando suit, Mm-hmm. And because being an actor, there's a lot that goes into his thinking for that role versus probably a stunt man who's like, I guess I have to play this character now, and I just fall off of stuff. Really cool.
Right.
So I get it. I get why he was probably frustrated for doing like 98% of a show with a helmet on, and maybe he gets the chance to take it off one time. So I can kind of side with him and like him just wanting to show more face. But
I speculate him, either there's a balance struck or him actually getting more face time. And, I could see with the entrance of Bo-Katan in that second or third episode, I forget of the season.
Yeah.
There's already the addressing of the philosophical aspects of his creed and stuff, and he may later on to, probably to please Pedro Pascal or keep everything smooth, have him with more face time, and I don't mind that at all, as long as the helmet goes back on and off during battles and such. I'm like,
he's gonna get that shit knocked off at some point. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. And if it happens to stay on a majority of the time, maybe they did just give him, boost his contract or something, or give him a little bit more freedom in some respects in order to do that. Also, I saw memes and stuff where people are reacting to him having a mustache under the helmet, and like, how's that a big deal? To me,
I mean, I haven't.
Like he would be funny without a mustache, he's got one of those upper lips that's just not conducive.
So you're telling me that the Mando just every now and again takes his helmet off in this journey of helping Grogu just to shave? I think my biggest concern is I think his hair should be longer if he's never taking the helmet off, and his beard, and he should have a full-on beard, like like this size thing going on, maybe a little longer, but they don't look good sticking out from under a helmet because it doesn't look good under a mask either. Right. But I'm not shaving this off. This has been years of just ain't happening. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I thought about that too. I was like, his hair seems pretty short for someone who doesn't take off his. When I was watching the last episode, when he took his helmet off, and I was like, oh, who gives a fuck, man? I'm here to watch Star Wars. Exactly. I don't care.
Yeah, and for me and for you, it sounds like it's a treat to see Pedro Pascal's face. I mean, the helmet and everything. So
I think he's a beautiful man.
Yeah. Godspeed to the show and to the cast and crew. I hope they don't do something crazy like try and alter somebody's contracts or fire anybody over any of this silly controversy. A lot of that stuff nowadays in the internet age, like with the Tom Cruise thing, there's a little too much getting to the audiences, and we're forming all these opinions and firing back on our social media. So we should take a step back and we should allow these people to do their work. I like hearing about it, but still.
Yeah. Well, I think in this last episode, which we'll get into all this much later, but I think Bill Burr his character sums it up great when they're on their way to their destination about the helmet, like what's the rule, And I thought that was really cool because it kind of gives Mando an out to take his helmet off and not feel so bad about it. And and I think at the end of that episode, when he makes that speech to Moff Gideon, is a big like, I'm gonna do whatever I have to to get my little baby back. And I said, "Oh my God, I got chills." I was like, "He's gonna destroy everyone. Everyone's gonna die." So I don't know. I'm
getting Mando's way.
Yeah, I'm just glad that he hasn't stepped out of it, and now we have to find some kind of fix or kill off the Mando character to like, I don't know. The worst stuff could happen. They could just be like, "All right, just 2 seasons. Pedro backed out. We can't do the show anymore." And it's like, God, really? So whatever. Just keep it going. It's the only good Star Wars I got.
It really is. Like, please, I'll do whatever I have to make
it.
But
until those new shows come out, then you can just get rid of it. I don't give a shit. I'm just kidding.
As long as those are good.
Yeah.
Our next news item is Marvel's Blade reboot gets a release window. Okay, so for the Blade, they didn't release any new info or any photos or even a real official logo, but I saw this news tidbit and it seemed interesting to me. It seems between the sequels of Black Panther 2 and Captain Marvel 2 in the year 2022 is when we'll see the Blade film with Mahershala Ali. I have a hard time pronouncing his name. I apologize. But that's cool. I mean, it's obviously something to look forward to. And as we see this continuity grow with the next few releases, 2022 is going to be huge for Marvel anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to rule the roost that year with Thor, Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, along with Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, and presumably the new Blade. So, not a whole lot of information as of yet, but it'll be interesting to see how he fits into the MCU, how they string his story into the continuity of these other films, as we know that they do. And I mean, it got me excited.
I honestly never thought, besides like the Blade films we got, that this was even on Marvel's radar to do.
Yeah, really.
Like to bring this character back. I mean, I think the casting's amazing. I definitely think Wesley Snipes has to do like a cameo or something, or
Right, yeah.
bring him back as a villain or something, which I think would be pretty fucking sick. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they tie it in. I guess with the multiverse of madness, you can kind of do whatever you want and bring any character. So it'll be interesting. I do have just a side question for you that a coworker brought up to me, which was, you know how HBO Max was releasing Wonder Woman 84?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's getting like pretty good reviews across the board that I've seen. I mean, I'll wait till I watch it myself. So, but, and then he goes, but what about Black Widow? Why didn't Marvel also in response to this be like, oh yeah, well, we're dropping the Black Widow movie too.
Right.
And I was like, cause they're still going to hold that off. And, hopefully next year, if like everyone gets a vaccine and we can all go out and see movies again and it's all safe, like that movie will come out. But like, to me, it was like, why didn't Marvel do this first? To just kind of, because DC seems to be like playing catch up, and DC is just like, fuck it, let's just release it, Yeah. And I thought it was just weird that I thought like maybe Marvel would be like, well, we're releasing Black Widow too, and it'd be like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But still, they're just holding on to it. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I have actually, enjoyed some of these releases as they've come to VOD. Because I think, it sucks not being able to go to the movie theater and have that experience. But there's also this like connection that is made because, like when Bill and Ted came out, everybody paid the $20 to see that one and everybody was talking about it and stuff. So it was still like, on one hand, it's better because you have your own snacks and you're at home. You have your own entertainment system. You don't have to like worry about.
You don't have to wear pants.
Yeah, you don't have to wear pants. You don't have to worry about somebody ruining it or talking during the movie unless it's your sibling or something or family member. Just tell them to shut up. But it's still there's still that experience of it being an event, and it's kind of cool. It's like it's like not as great as being able to go to the theater, but it's cool to see how social media is bringing this aspect of entertainment together, and how some of these VOD releases are still managing to be a sensation. That's how I feel anyway. So at the investors conference that they dropped all these releases for and stuff like that, they did mention that Black Widow's still coming out as scheduled in theaters, and they kind of from there just kind of glossed over it, and it didn't add anything else or any kind of rebuttal. So one, I bet the movie is just really awesome and it warrants that in theater experience. Two, it's they probably thought about everything, and it seems like HBO Max is doing its best to get in the game. They're a huge service, but they're still maybe not as big as Netflix or not as big as Prime or not as watched just yet. So it behooves them to have Wonder Woman out, and us. I know we're gonna make that an event release when that comes out. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Christmas time. Perhaps we won't live stream on Christmas just because spend time with our families and such. But maybe the day after. We'll see.
We do have to discuss that. I'm going to be home and I won't have my computer. So.
Oh right, yeah. We may take a Christmas break and get back to Wonder Woman, certainly. But yeah, that's cool, and it's exciting to see what's coming down the slate. And Mahershala Ali as Blade is going to be tight.
Yeah.
In our next little news tidbit, Thomas Jane wants to direct Bernthal's Punisher. All right, so this one's with a grain of salt. It's just really Thomas Jane commenting on John Bernthal's performance in The Punisher and how much he loves Bernthal as Punisher. Thomas Jane is a one-time director with his film Dark Country, I believe it was called.
Yeah, I think that. It's all right.
Yeah, it was a pretty all right, interesting, like horror sci-fi kind of thing that he did. But anyway, he has this quote about hopes for Punisher season 3. Hold on, let me make sure I'm reading the right quote.
Let me just say this while you're getting that ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
How about he doesn't direct it, and they both just show up in the multiverse of madness as two Punishers?
That would be awesome. Yes, that's way better. And good. I'm glad you said that because I hoped that this instance, because it's really just him commenting on something. I hoped that it would spark that discussion. But here's his quote: "That would be a fan thing. If the fans really wanted me back and we could find a script. See, I think the Punisher and the reason why I did the short, he did a short called Dirty Laundry where he's the Punisher. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Was that it hasn't fully been cracked in a way that fully honors the character Frank Castle in a film. And I love what Bernthal did on Netflix. I think he's such a great Punisher. In fact, I would love to direct a Punisher starring Bernthal because he's such a great actor." So, it's and then he also has this to add, sorry, Mika. "We couldn't make a dark film when we did Punisher 2004. We couldn't go as dark because people just hadn't trusted on the production side that fans would be into that. But now we've got shows like The Boys, and of course The Dark Knight came out after The Punisher, where I think that producers and studios are now aware that there's a real audience for the darkness, the Taxi Driver-esque quality that could pull out of a Frank Castle, and that hasn't been done yet. And I would love to do that, but again, we have to take it to a place where, frankly, the Punisher has always wanted to go." Yeah, I agree with you. I think maybe not in the director's seat, and it seems like that was just a moment of excitement for him. But one thing's for sure: it's his knowledge behind these characters, these franchises, the comic book world and stuff is well versed. I love Thomas Jane for that because he's as big a nerd as anybody, and he knows his shit.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I never made it through all of the season 1 of Punisher, and I didn't even make it to season 2 because to me, I think a Punisher works better as a film, like a 2-hour film. I just don't need all that. I mean, I get it. His family died. It's terrible, but all the flashbacks and I was like, oh my God, dude, just get to punishing. And I need to see I don't know. It just seemed all like too preachy to me. And I don't really need that. I just need a guy that's there to do his job and get out. And I don't really think that warrants like comparing that to Daredevil. I think Daredevil needs that. He has a rich history and Punisher does. And I don't know, man. It just didn't work for me. I think Bernthal's great as Punisher. If they would have done like Netflix film called The Punisher just to kind of tie in his character to that Daredevil, I think it would have worked better. Because I know people who are just like, yeah, I didn't finish it. It just wasn't for me. And I was like, and I wanted to love that show after Daredevil season 2.
Yeah. I liked both seasons, but it definitely felt like a bookmark. It's just like, yeah, here's the Punisher. We're doing what we can with it, and we're pumping in as much drama and seriousness as we can in order to maintain the credibility of the character on screen and everything. But yeah, I agree with you more or less about that. And it would be, it'd be hard to think that Disney Plus is going to have a Punisher series on their selection of films. Maybe. Well,
I've heard that they're doing like an adult section, so they can have, I assume, for Deadpool and Logan, because they don't have Logan up there, and that's it's a Wolverine movie, dude. You got every other Wolverine movie up there. So, I guess they're gonna figure out some way to get that more explicit content, which also made me go, wait, am I gonna be able to watch Alien on Disney Plus and Predator? Because that would be sick. But man, I know little kids are gonna be like, I know how to hack this. I was on the internet, and they're like, Mommy, help me.
That means Ripley is a Disney princess.
I'm down.
Just want to shout out.
About time.
Just want to shout out to our friends here commenting. Let's show your names there. Jerry Lee, what's up? That's my boy. And so make sure that when you comment, you go to the link above. I know we had some technical difficulties, so I'm not sure what the post looks like right now on Facebook, but go to facebook.com/StreamYard to allow StreamYard to use your profile information, a la my boy Jerry Lee here, so we can know who you are while you're commenting. But hey guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for the comments. If you have any questions you want us to answer or anything like that, please let us know. Shoot it in the comments here, and we'll be sure to do our best to answer them. I got Jerry there hanging out. Our next bit of news: Memento has a secret Tenet Easter egg. How is this possible, you ask? Well, it's not exactly a planned Easter egg. However, Chris Nolan.
I don't know.
Chris Nolan had this to say. I had this notion of just a bullet getting sucked out of the wall and into the barrel of a gun. It's an image that I had in Memento. The film literally starts with a bullet flying out of a wall through a man's skull and back into the gun to demonstrate the structure of that movie, but I always harbored this ambition to make a film where the characters had to deal with the physical reality of that. In a way, an idea comes to the fore when the time is right for it, and it's a hard process to quantify. So I was doing all these other things. It's not exactly strictly like an Easter egg that was planned as some maniacal film genius planted it here and made this movie like 20 some years later. But it's an interesting notion. And as we get to our Tenet review here in a second, you'll hear my comments on some of the mechanics of how that film played out. But it seems very much like it's interesting to know that that's where the spark struck potentially in Memento. Very good film if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I watched the special features for Tenet, and apparently he's been thinking about this flick and how to do it for a pretty long time now. And I'm glad it's nice that he's at a point where he's had these ideas, because I can't imagine being like on Memento being like, man, is it ever going to get as good where I can shoot fight scenes backwards and forwards? And, can I do that? Will I be able to do that? Will technology get this good? And then to finally be able to make this epic fucking movie he just made. It's just, I mean, that's got to be probably awesome because he's through the career, but to like have that, that idea planted for so long.
Yeah. And, for those who don't know, I've made a film once. I consider myself a filmmaker. I like to write, and it's such an interesting thing. I mean, it's kind of a hard thing too. Have an idea and you're like, oh my God, that's going to be cool. I have to attempt to make that idea. And then years go by and years go by. You have it written down numerous different places and things. But then to finally get to that kind of idea is a victory. And it seems, Nolan's one of the top players right now. And it was kind of inspiring for me to read that, like that's when the spark hit for this guy for what became Tenet, in this movie that he made a long time ago that was already playing with certain film tricks and ideas of time and stuff like that. So, just a testament to the dude's genius and why his movies are so engaging and enjoyable.
All right. We ready to get into it?
Yeah. Do you want to lead us in here, Matty? Welcome.
Yeah, I got a little thing. Hold on. Let me get
the episode.
Let me computer
here. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and just give us a little eye candy here.
You got a thing?
Bear with us, folks. Not specifically, but I'm just going to pull up a sweet graphic we could look at while we talk about it.
I'm ready for it.
All right, I'm not, as per usual.
All right. It's been a while since I've done a review since those essays.
Yeah, we're getting the kinks out. We're trying to work out our scenario here. But anywho, here we are. Go ahead and lead us in, Matty. What did we think? How do we begin? Uh-oh. Did I freeze Matty? Bear with us. I'm all alone now. This is terrifying. So anyway, the Tenet was cool. The actors were good. Sure hope Matty gets back because he had the whole review format set out. There he is. All right, good. No worries for you.
Yeah, I heard you. You're crushing it, dude.
Smooth.
I guess we probably shouldn't add photos because it seemed like everything got messed up for a second.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah. All right, here we go again. So we're going to be reviewing Tenet, Wolfie and I. For those who don't know what Tenet is, it's a new Christopher Nolan flick starring John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Kenneth Branagh, and Elizabeth Debicki, and many others. And I'm just not going to go through it all. There's IMDb for that. What's it about, you ask? Well, I'm going to give you a very simplified synopsis of it. It's about a secret agent called the Protagonist embarking on a timey-wimey mission to prevent the end of the world. And for any of those Doctor Who fans out there, you understand what timey-wimey means. For those of you who don't watch Doctor Who. But so we're just going to start it off with our initial reactions to the flick. Stefan, all right, Wolfie, how did you like it?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. There was a few moments maybe I felt like it was pretty long. It seems
It's
like
2 hours and
those
30 minutes, dude. It's not short.
it seemed like those moments were important, and it didn't deter me in any way from watching the movie or losing interest. I guess I checked my phone for the time a couple times, but other than that, like I really enjoyed conceptually where he was coming from. I felt like for something that was so heady, it actually wasn't that difficult to understand.
Yeah.
I think there is the really heady kind of technical ideas behind their particular timey-wiminess going on here, but that I feel like it's like there if you really want to break it down, but in order to get through the movie and enjoy it, you don't necessarily need to get hung up on that, because it plays out pretty simply, for what it is in terms of the things that they're addressing.
Yeah, I mean, at the base, it's a spy thriller about a guy trying to prevent the end of the world. It just has a sci-fi element. It's like every Bond movie except cool Christopher Nolan sci-fi timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, it busts the brain a little bit, but it doesn't.
Well, I think
it doesn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it was just trying to understand the physics and like how that world worked.
Right.
Like how the time loops work, which is like anytime you deal with any kind of time travel. I mean, even Terminator, sometimes when I think about Terminator too hard, I go, wait, but if this happens, doesn't that mean that this wouldn't happen, or that this person wouldn't be here? But wait, that doesn't. And then I go, oh my God, dude, you got to stop. Like, it's just a movie. It's supposed to be fun. Have fun with it. Time travel isn't real. Like, just accept it for what it is. And I was watching the special features, and Christopher Nolan, when he did Interstellar, got the same physicist for this movie, and the physicist was like, "Dude, you can't do that." And Christopher Nolan goes, "I know, I just want to get it as the basic concept as best I can, and then it's just a movie, kind of." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so I shouldn't be taking this as seriously, trying to like, what if this really happened in reality? Like, how would this actually work? Because it's not going to."
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. It seems like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Besides that, just a quick. I loved it. I had a great time. I also checked. I just paused it from time to time to see where I was at because I was enjoying it. I was like, "Is this movie almost over?" But I really liked it, and at no point was it like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Come on, because now the older I get, I'm like, 2 hours. Whoa, is it worth it? Because I have an hour and 25-minute horror movie I can watch real quick. And then still have the rest of my night, maybe go to bed early.
Yeah. And in as much as I say that it's long, it wasn't a fatigue that I was experiencing, It wasn't like, oh, Jesus, this, I was really into it, but like kind of the same way I was checking the time. It's like, oh, there's still quite a bit of movie left,
Well,
it's unfair for me to say that it was bloated in some areas. I think, like for a movie like this, for Nolan to get his expression out, every minute counts and every minute's worth it, especially considering Dunkirk is probably his shortest movie, and he really got to play around with this one. And he's been wanting to do a Bond forever, so he finally got his way. And the main actor, what was his name again? I'm sorry.
John David Washington. He was in The Black Klansman.
Yeah, he's such a badass. Like I say, Black Klansman's great. That's right. He was great. Robert Pattinson, I've seen him in a few flicks. I like the guy, and he never really, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm excited for his Batman and everything. But in this movie, I really enjoyed his performance. I really enjoyed his character, and it reminded me of the camaraderie of soldiers during war and such. And that little bit with Aaron Johnson even too. It's always nice to see him pop up. He's a great supporting guy. I believe he would also be a really great lead actor in his own action franchise. I'm waiting for that. He was in Kick-Ass, if you guys don't remember, but I like all these actors. Kenneth Branagh played a great Bond villain of sorts, you know what I mean? Even his motivations, and I'm trying to avoid some spoilers here because I know a lot of people are still going to get to it. So but even his ploy and everything, I was just like, this is good. This is just heady enough and just understandable enough to keep it going. I got to tell you, I'd watch this over GoldenEye any day. GoldenEye puts me to sleep.
I wouldn't watch it over Skyfall, though, because Skyfall is really good. But
I haven't seen the new ones. I got to admit it. That's something I got to do.
But, I mean, to me, it's a spy thriller, but, like, it's a Nolan movie, man. You're watching it because he's going to give you something you haven't seen before.
Definitely.
I will say though, I like the way Tenet was broken up because they give you like, they're like, here's a heady concept. Here's a little like cool little heist moment that doesn't feature any of the things we just described to you. All right, now on with the movie. And then there's another little break that's like, all right, now when we get back, we're going to explain this other heady concept to you before we go into this final act. And you're like, oh, and I mean, for me, I was confused until the end because so much is happening so fast. And there's just some stuff that happens with a certain character that I was like, wait, if he's there because of this thing that you see at the beginning of the movie, wait, how does his timeline work? And I just started doing all kinds of crazy. I was like, oh my God. So I had to read this article, which I will mention later at the very end of this review. So if you want to read it, it does kind of break stuff down kind of simply and doesn't go by like the character names on this because your main character is just called the protagonist.
Right.
So he just uses the actors' names instead of trying to get you to remember the characters' names because they're not said that often, except maybe Kenneth Branagh's villain. But I liked Robert Pattinson in it. I like that I really didn't know if he was good or bad until like you get to the final act. You know, you kind of see like this thing happening between him and the protagonist's character, like this character stuff happening with them that's kind of cool. And then I just thought everyone was great in it. I mean, that's the thing with a Nolan movie. You're going to get a great performance. I also, John David Washington, I was just like, besides Black Klansman, I haven't really seen him in anything, but man, that guy can command the screen. Like his swagger and like just the way he approached this character was probably not the way that like, say Leonardo DiCaprio did this movie. I just like his swagger and his like, I don't know, man, there was something about the way he would walk into a room that, I don't know. It's something nice about getting an actor you haven't really seen do a lot of stuff, giving a great performance and kind of subverting what you think a spy thriller should be or how that main actor should act. Like he doesn't look like Bond. He doesn't look like Daniel Craig. He doesn't walk like Pierce Brosnan or like DiCaprio or anyone else Nolan's used in his movies. I thought he just brought this whole kind of freshness to,
absolutely
this movie.
Yeah, he's got a real commanding presence on camera, but he doesn't like take advantage of it or overdo it. He's well in the flow, and that's why I liked him and Pattinson's chemistry together. Just because Pattinson seems like he's put in a lot of work over the last decade or so to really get his chops where they need to be. He's experimented a lot with a bunch of colorful different characters. And so, these guys are, young and fresh, but they're commanding the scene like titans. They're really, and a credit to Nolan's direction, I'm sure. And the cinematography and everything was just fantastic. The set pieces, the overall look of it. I remember seeing the teaser sequence, the opening sequence of the film, in theaters. It was like the IMAX sequence or whatever, and it just seemed really touchy because we were experiencing a lot of these mass shootings and public shootings and stuff, and it seemed like a really somewhat controversial way to open a film. And it was just the music by Ludwig Göransson throughout the whole movie keeps the pace and keeps the tension. They actually, like what you're saying, is the flow of this film, the pacing of this film is really masterful, quite like a symphony that I love at the beginning how you're getting that kind of like tuning overture kind of thing right before the movie starts, or right before you expect some music to start, and then the dude gets shot right before, and it's just like, the nuances of the film are quite masterful. It's like obvious to say it about somebody like Chris Nolan, but if you're kind of on the fence about whether or not you should see it, whether or not you should spend the $20 for the rental or whatever, it's well worth it, man. Just sit back and realize you're watching a Nolan film that he's going to carry you from point A to point B, even if it gets super heady. It's there if you want it. It's there if you want to break it apart. But this movie is not hung up on the fact that you need to understand it 100% completely. You're gonna get a good spy thriller, and you're gonna get some really interesting action sequences. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say go into it and not trying to understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Just accept it and embrace what they're telling you and just move forward with the movie. That's because I had to stop myself from the first time you see him using the inversion, the future tech, I was like, wait, how So I get what they're saying, and I was trying to wrap my head around, because I ain't no scientist. I went to art school. I just like drawing. So I was like trying to wrap my head around it. And when I kind of just was like, this is the world, this is like how I understand this is happening. And then I just had fun with it after that. Because I thought I was going to have to pay like really close attention to like, as these people were describing how this world works. So further on, I'd be like, oh, I get it. But just letting yourself go and watching it is also a great time. Second viewing I watched, though, I was paying more attention to, and stuff started making a little more sense, that I was kind of like, wait, what? How did this happen if they did what? So dude, I don't know, man. It's great.
Oh, yeah. And you had a couple other things along with your.
Yeah, we've kind of already talked about a lot of it, because I feel like we've done this so much, we can kind of just get everything. But just wondering if you had a favorite action moment or scene or fight scene, or just some kind of cool moment that you were just like, man, that was just slick.
I think, that's good. I think, going through this film, it's very interesting, because things are playing backwards and then forwards and backwards. And, in order to film something playing forwards through backwards time, you have to film it backwards, So I'm just imagining some of these actors and some of these characters like running and walking backwards in order to achieve this effect.
Dude.
It can read as kind of goofy, but by the time everything comes full circle, and there's a particular fight scene that takes place in like a hallway, and like this what was the place exactly? There is like an art.
It's where they store art to keep it safe, like precious arts that are being, I think, while they're waiting to go to auction, or if they're waiting to be assessed or whatever.
Yeah.
So
seeing that fight play out, the
someplace we'll never see.
Yeah, the first instance moving forwards with a backwards moving character was like, whoa, this is like super trippy. And you can tell that Nolan was tickled pink by using the mechanic of the backwards forwards camera trickery that he was using. But then later, when you see the other point of view of that fight, and it moving forwards, and now the other character who you saw moving forwards previously, and this is probably confusing people, but anyway, coming back around to that fight scene, I was like, this is actually brilliant. I've never seen anything like this. And to see just what it took mentally, like getting down on paper in order to figure out how that was going to work, is a monumental achievement. I think it's one of the coolest sequences out of any movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, dude, I mean, totally agree. It is awesome. It's amazing. I think my favorite like action scene is when, because you meet this character, and he's a smaller physique kind of guy. Like, I mean, he works out. It shows you this, you're like, oh, this guy can handle himself, but you really don't know till there's this kitchen scene that shows up, because he's pitted against, because you've met, of this villain who exists and he's got these henchmen because of this other character you meet. And these guys are pretty big Russian dudes. And you're like, oh my God, dude, like this, he's not going to make it to get to this from point A to point B. And then he just fucking fluidly just takes out these guys. I love the little pauses that he takes, like these little breaths. He's like, all right, what's the next one? And then he you can see him like thinking of what he's going to do. And like, there's this one scene where he like grabs a cheese grater, and you're just like, what? And then like after that is like he drops it, and then he just throws some plates at like this next villain that approaches him, and it's all this just like he knew what he was doing. It was tactical, and it's like, this villain doesn't know what he's up for. He thinks who's this guy? Who this random guy that's gonna stop me from doing this end of the world thing? And I think in that moment for me was like, oh shit, I can't wait for whatever else Nolan has in store for me. Because it's like, if this is a cool action scene and he hasn't even done any of the weird timey-wimey stuff, I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to get ready to experience. That was like the tone for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an intense fight scene, and you're like, oh, cool, we're in for this more. And then added the effect of the time stuff is pretty cool. Multi-layered, like Chris Nolan makes onions. So
He definitely doesn't make a boring movie, despite if you like it or not. It's, it keeps your interest, I think, anyway. I mean, I still go back and watch, like, the other day I was like, oh, I haven't seen Inception in a while. So I like put it on. I was like, oh, I'll watch this for a few minutes. And I remember just finishing the movie being like, fuck, there's 2 hours wasted, because I apparently got wrapped up in this movie. I've seen it, probably a dozen times at this point. Yeah. So like, I feel like Tenet's going to, Yeah, I feel like Tenet's going to be the same way, like where you're always going to want to go back and revisit this. That's kind of why I made the purchase and didn't wait for like January, whatever, to do the like rental, which if it's for, yeah, I get it. It's $20 is, a lot of money to some people. It's a lot of money to me. I just was like, I just want to see this and I want to watch the special features just to get in Nolan's head. Cause I think his behind the scenes are really good and pretty intricate to show you how he like achieved some of these effects and like, dude, it was insane. The stunt people, I guess everyone who showed up on that movie he normally works with were like, how the hell are we going to pull this off? And it was like a learning experience for everyone. Cause like the stunt people like would do normal fight scenes, then have to reverse it, then have someone reverse it, then someone fight normal. And then it was just like, I can't imagine just being like, wait, how do we do this? Cause no one like, I love the stunt guy, like the guy who did like choreographed a lot of the stunts and had his stunt team work on it. Cause he was like the whole time he was like, I guess we're just going to go shoot some stuff and see what Nolan likes. It's pretty fun to watch. Those, they just did everything within their imagination. And he would go, I like this. Let's put this with this and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, cool. Let's do it. So it's a like technically cool film, man. And I agree with you. I thought, like, how funny is this going to look? And some stuff, when you first see it, does look funny, but I think it's just because you've never thought that way or seen anything that way. Besides, like, everything that kept coming to mind, like, there's a scene where Kenneth Branagh's character is, like, talking backwards. Right. And the whole time I was just like Twin Peaks, I was like, it just recalls back to, the Black Lodge and all that stuff. Funny. And I was like, oh, man, this is cool. But, I have so if you all know Stefan and I at all, we love music. Music's a big part of our life. And I was watching this movie not realizing who did the film score for this. Yeah. But I thought it sounded much different than any other Nolan score. Yeah. And I was pleased by it. And I was even more pleased that it was, I think you mentioned him earlier, let's see if I can pronounce this name, Ludwig Göransson. Some of you know him as the guy who made the Mando score. So I don't know. Are you digging the music?
Oh, it was amazing. I was like, I listen to a lot of movie scores leisurely, and I'm always looking for new ones to listen to that I can listen to like straight through. Sometimes I just want to hear a certain theme or a certain part, because other movies are very moody moments and you're like, that's a good score. It's better with the movie. I'll just skip that track or whatever. But this, I can imagine listening to like it's an album, my favorite band or something. The music was awesome. The music is so, that's the one thing that Ludwig Göransson is doing really well right now is he's setting himself apart by establishing his sound. And now that you know this and you haven't seen the film yet, hopefully we haven't spoiled too much for you or anything. You're gonna go watch it. When you're listening, it is like you say, it's not quite like anything you've ever heard in a movie before, in a Chris Nolan movie at that. That shit's tight. It's really great.
Yeah, it's more electronic, than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, just because his previous films haven't really featured anything like that. Yeah. To my knowledge, I mean, maybe there's some stuff thrown in there. I'm also really bad about watching a movie and not like the score helps me, but I don't really pay attention to it because I'm more into like the visual aspect and the acting. So like it's always on my like third viewing is when I'm like, oh my God, that soundtrack's sick. Like I know what everyone's talking about, but this one stood out to me because, I was thinking like, I think he's worked with Hans Zimmer basically. For a lot of his films.
So I was like, this is Hans Zimmer. This is nuts.
Yeah, that's the same. Because I mean, like any of his scores, it sounds like him, it's like, oh, and I was like, this is different. I'm like, well, maybe he's taking a different approach. And then when the credits rolled, I was like, oh shit, Mando. This is the guy who did Mando. And so, I was pretty stoked about that. And, it's a great soundtrack too.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to listen to it outside of watching the film.
And I will say, I think this has been pretty spoiler free. I don't think we've really. Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of want to get it into the meat and potatoes of this, but I think it's been good. And maybe we'll get people to watch this movie and maybe we can revisit it if some people have some questions later on on the Facebook page. We can address those.
I think that's a noble cause there.
So my last one is we usually do a final thoughts. And then I'm going to add a little, are we still confused?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So final thoughts. I mean, what can you say? It's that we haven't already said.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie. Be patient with it because the payoff, I think, is really it's satisfying. I think through and through, it's solid. It is a little long, but you won't notice unless you've got something else to do. You know,
Yeah.
it's a good movie, but you know, set a time aside that you can pay attention and stuff, and give yourself the best viewing. So even if it does confuse you at certain points, you are there to, you know, witness it, to take it in, to process it. And, you know, if that's a big hang up for you, just realize that from my perspective, it's not that big a deal, and you can still enjoy this great spy thriller and all these great performances. There's a couple cameo performances from some actors that he's worked with before, and those are nice to see their faces turn up. And just seeing, I keep forgetting his name, the main guy, Washington.
Yeah. John David.
John David Washington. It's, you know, this guy's on the scene now, you know, and it won't be long before he turns up in a Star Wars or something, you know, because he's got the sway, he's got the screen presence and the charisma, you know. I'm sure in no time we're going to be hearing Jon Stewart rumors for Justice League 2 or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows, but he's a fantastic actor, and seeing what we've seen from the Batman in terms of Pattinson's performance, the small bits of his performance that we've seen, this really unhinged, disturbed young man, in Tenet here, we get to see a really confident, a really, I'll say, endearing performance from Pattinson, as well as him being badass, you know. And there's some good soldier camaraderie stuff going on here. I always get a kick out of. I love like war movies and stuff. But yeah, those would be my final thoughts. And am I still confused? I would say I couldn't explain this at a dinner party.
Same.
But I would say I would also, you know, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, Stefan's basically said everything I want to say at this point for final thoughts. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, if you're a Nolan fan, check it out. If you're a fan of the spy genre, check it out. If you like a cool sci-fi timey-wimey flick, it's also for you as well. If you just like stylish flicks, I mean, the fashion in it's amazing. I wish I could wear these kind of clothes. Just like look this good all the time. It was one thing I really liked about some of the suits. There's a lot of patterns in them that you would normally wouldn't see in this kind of like, in a spy movie. I feel like you're so used to seeing Bond in like his like tuxedo, and I like that, you know, like the main character's wearing like these maroon suits, or Pattinson's character's wearing scar. It's just like a cool look for what I wouldn't expect for like a Nolan spy thriller, I guess. I mean, I guess he did some of that in Inception, but yeah, Pattinson's great. John David Washington's great. I mean, after watching Pattinson in this, if they like recasted another white Bond and a male Bond, I think it would be an interesting choice. I think it'd bring something different, but hopefully they just do Bond in a different direction next go around. You know, too much whiteies out there. Mix it up a little bit. Another thing I really liked about the main actor is a black male who's smart, confident, and saves the world. It's awesome. Yep. But what else was I gonna? I'm just kidding. Yeah. Oh no!
One thing I was gonna say before we leave, you know, we like to give our little rating and stuff. So I was just gonna say, out of 10 inverted bullets, what do you give Tenet?
Man, I don't know. I kind of want to go full inverted bullets because I really did enjoy it.
Yeah.
So reading an article I will reference at the very end of this, there seem to be some holes in it that I also would like explained. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 inverted bullets.
Nice. I was actually going to do the same, 8.5 out of 10 inverted bullets. So that's an 8.5 for Tenet from us. Go ahead, and you want to mention the article or anything else?
Yeah, let me pull it up because I can't remember. It's really long. So it's a vulture.com article called a beat-by-beat explanation of what happens in Tenet by Nate Jones.
Nice. We'll link it in the comments of this post on the Facebook group for sure.
Yeah, and it's just a really cool, if you watch it and went like, what the hell did just happened? It's pretty lengthy. It's a pretty lengthy article too. I think it'd be, you know, probably watch the film a couple times then read it, because I read it and I've seen it twice all the way through. So, and it's a movie I'm going to revisit this film. I mean, I know my roommates want to watch it, so I'll definitely be seeing it at least a third time. And maybe by then I'll be able to explain it to them if they have questions afterward, because I know they will, because I did, you know.
Yeah, I definitely going to watch it again too. I've only seen it the once. But yeah, so that's our Tenet review, guys. Thank you all for joining us. I know a few people popped in and popped out. Thank you so much for coming to join us. We're going to talk about it anyway, so it's nice to have you here. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/overlycriticalmovieclub. Give us a little something if you feel so inclined. And we're working our way through the technical difficulties of doing the live stream, but I think it's going pretty good so far. Lots more to come content-wise. So there's the link for that. If you're not a part of the group, the Facebook group, come join our Facebook group, the Overly Critical Movie Club, at facebook.com. You can find our merch by going to tpublic.com and searching Overly Critical Movie Club. There is another link, but I don't want to sit here doing X's and Y's and slashes and whatever. Like you can do based off the screen and everything. So
yeah, do some work. We can't do it all for you. God.
We have the flagship official Overly Critical Movie Club t-shirt, logo t-shirt, as well as another t-shirt, a caricature of Travis Bickle t-shirt that I have. It's a really nice t-shirt. It's got the logo, the movie club logo on the back, and a really fun caricature cartoon that I did of Travis Bickle. I also have a Mandalorian t-shirt that's coming. I'm waiting on approval from TeePublic. It seems that it's a little iffy if I'm using this copywritten character or whatever, but if you go to TeePublic, you'll see there's tons of Mandalorian merchandise that other people have designed, so I don't think it'll be a big deal, but it'll be up soon. I'll be sure to share the link to that one because I know a few people.
I'm gonna get one.
Yeah, me too. It's a cool design. I'm really, I'm proud of myself, obviously, but it's just it'll be really cool. It was intended to be like a biker tee. It says, it'll be there. I'll send you the link to that for sure. Also, my film Colfax and 15th. Go follow the page on Facebook. I've had this movie, this feature-length film that me and a bunch of filmmakers and artists out here in Denver did about 10 years ago. And, sadly, I've been sitting on it for a long time thinking it was done and behind me, but come to watch it again more recently and just realizing that it needs a few things, a little bit more music and a few cuts here and there. So go to that page, go give us a like and a follow. I got some clips coming out. I got another trailer coming out at the end of the week. And I'm aiming for a Christmas release of the entire new definitive cut of Colfax and 15th. Please do go to that page and give it a like. Follow us on Instagram. I'm Cruzco Comics for my art, as well as Wolfie Cruz for my photos and just like my day-to-day. Matty is Old Beardo down here at the bottom. Other than that, I think that's it for us this time around. Thank you again so much for coming and watching the Overly Critical Movie Club. We'll see you next week, Wednesday at 5 p.m. I assume we'll probably do Freaky this time around if nothing else comes up.
No, we can't. Wonder Woman 84 is going to be out. Comes out on Christmas Day.
That's right. Well, we'll figure something out.
We'll have something good for you.
Yeah, definitely.
We always do.
And always stay tuned to the Overly Critical Movie Club group page for all the fun discussions of things, recommendations, discussions of things that we like to talk about that we're interested. I know, as I post a lot of boy movies, sci-fi, macho stuff, action stuff. We talk a lot about Marvel superheroes, but we want to involve the ladies. So if there's anything that you want us to review or want to hear us talk about more, just leave it in the comments. I'll pop up when I can, and there's still lots to see that isn't, the boys' movies. Anything else before we head out, Maddie?
Nope. Thanks for watching.
All right. I got a new outro credit sequence for us that I do hope you'll all enjoy.
I haven't seen it. I'm excited.
I'm Wolfie signing off.
This is Maddie. Bye-bye.